All right, everybody, it's time for another episode of Boy Green Daily. This time, we will predict which free agents the Jets will retain and which ones they're kicking to the curb. We're going to do all that here on the show on a beautiful Sunday. You're on Boy Green Daily. Let's get this party started. Let's roll.
Zoinks! It is unequivocally the Super Bowl for New York Jet fans.
Field Yates, baby. Field gosh darn Yates. Let's bring him on the show.
Come on, people. Connor Rogers is joining the show. What's up, Connor? But Trevor gosh darn Sycamore, baby, for me, personally, my favorite New York Jet of all time.
Wow, it's great to be on. What an intro that was right there.
Paul, nobody does an intro like you, man.
Paul, you give the best intro of literally any podcast that I've ever been.
I'm gonna lose my gosh darn bananas. Good morning, everybody. What's poppin'? Paul Leston Jr., a.k.a. Boy Green. I'm the New York Jets digital reporter for Heavy.com. Welcome to Boy Green Daily, a daily New York Jets video show, also available wherever you get your podcasts. Simply search for Boy Green Daily. Before we get started, this is a very special day here on Sunday, February 4th. It is Boy Green's mama's birthday. Yep, happy birthday to my mother, who turns 21 again today. So let's give her a big shout out. Here you go. Here's my mama right there. There you go. Let's throw up some pics. There you go. It's me and my mom. There she is. There's a whoa. That might be a zoinks from my mom. That might be right there. And there you go. Her doing some Taekwondo action a decade ago or so. There you go. Very nice. And then booyah. There's my mom like in the 80s probably. I don't even know where that one's from. But either way, happy birthday to my mother out there. Mama Eston, baby. I salute you. Way to make me. You did a hell of a job as far as I'm concerned. A hell of a job. Someone else's mother did a hell of a job, and I've met her, and she's wonderful. I've not spent, it's been a hot second since I've seen her, but Mama Butler, man, when she's up there in terms of mom, so let's bring her son in, Ty Butler, and here on the program. Good morning, Ty Butler.
Good morning, and happy birthday to your lovely mom, man. As you said, she did an awesome job. I know she's put something really powerful and prosperous into the world, man. You're doing big things, so I'm proud of you, brother. Happy birthday to your mom.
Thank you. Yeah, and like I said, I've not seen Mama Butler in quite some time, so send her my best regards, although, as we've talked about previously, her lasting memory of me is us go to that Italian restaurant, me ordering a burger. And her going, shaking head forever. Yeah. I will never get that out of my head, so yeah.
And then the very next day, we went to watch the season opener for the Jets in, 2016.
Jets-Bengals, right?
Only to lose on a walk-off field goal. Courtesy of, do you remember who the kicker was?
Was that Nugent, the former
Mike
Jets
Nugent,
kicker?
Former Jets kicker, Mike Nugent. How about that?
Ohio State product, so going back home to play for Cincinnati after playing for the Jets as a former second-round pick.
And that's a fun story because we were doing our podcast, the Jet Zone, and typically obviously we were in studio typically, but we took this baby on the road, and we had tested it. Everything sounded good. We get to the stadium. And it was shot, man. So it was just an all-time disaster. It was a disaster, but we kept rolling. We did our thing. I think who was it that had the tailgate? Was it
Gotham City Crew, right?
Gotham City Crew. So they fed us. They gave us a couple drinks. We went in there. We were excited, and we left miserable.
Yes.
That sounds all too familiar.
That tracks. That 100% tracks. And here we are, however many years later. So, not too shabby. All right, so, Ty, let's get into it here. The Jets have a ton of free agents, a lot of big decisions to make on a variety of their free agents. And this is a game I used to play on my afternoon radio show in Syracuse a couple years ago. You used to have the Clash song playing in the background. Should they stay or should they go? I will not be playing the Clash this time around. So just play it in your heads, do like a little elevator head nod as we're going in there. But let's go through all of these key decisions for the New York Jets. And these are guys who are set to be unrestricted free agents for the New York Jets. Now, the order that we will go in here on the contracts, for the most part, there will be a couple of guys, I guess, get splashed in randomly here. Will be by their average salary from last season. So we'll start with this. Carl Lawson. Is this a quick one?
Yeah,
Bye-bye?
that's a quick one. Underrated, bad free agent signing by Joe Douglas. And look, part of it is he got hurt. I mean, you can't predict that, but
first year, torn Achilles, right?
Yeah, because remember, the conversation coming into that season, he was tearing it up in training camp that year.
Yeah.
And, as soon as that report dropped, like a week later, this dude tore his Achilles and he was never the same player. But I don't understand. Why did they trade him last year? $10 million?
Good question.
What was that about? He was just taking up a roster spot.
Well, the worst part was, okay, you could have traded him, got an asset. That would have been great. Here was the worst part. Last offseason, so fast forward rewind a year from right now, back a year ago. Carl Lawson's final year of his contract had $15 million with zero. Let me make sure I get my pen. Zero in guarantees. So if the Jets cut him, they saved $15 million. If they just cut him, traded him or done something else. The Jets instead approached Carl Lawson and, hey, buddy, we know you have no guarantees, but how about this? You take a pay cut, you take like $5 million off the top, but then we'll guarantee all $10 million. He's like, shit, sign me
Terrible. I mean, it's funny. You go back and look at that all season, like it's as bad as it can get, man.
Yeah, absolutely. Terrible.
Damn it.
So
that's it.
I concur. Yes, Carl Lawson is gone. That 3-year, $45 million contract goodbye. And that's the part that really gets me. The first year, wow, this is the second coming of Lawrence Taylor. You've got a winner. I'm like, oh, this is great. And then guess what? Green Bay Packers joint practice across from Aaron Rodgers. Boop, pop, broke every bone in his body, as the line from Dodgeball. But pop, there goes the Achilles. So terrible. All right, let's so Carl Lawson, goodbye. There will be we have plenty of pass rushers there. What about Mekhi Becton, who had his fifth-year option declined, and now he is set to be a free agent? Dive into those waters.
Yeah, 15.5 sacks he allowed last year, tied for the second most at that position. 12 penalties. That's not good as well. You just look at the entirety of the Jets' tackle group with Mitchell, Warner, and Turner. They allowed an NFL worst. 24 sacks. So, Mekhi Becton, you watched him a lot last year, and one of the biggest questions was, can he stay healthy? For the most part, he did. He missed one game?
16 of 17 games. The only game he missed was Black Friday on a short week.
Yeah. So, I mean, he answered that bell, but he was not a good player last year. And God bless you. He also in the past got my son here. He also in the past has had some dissension with the coaching staff. He's blaming them for him getting injured, which might not be off the table. The switching of the position could be a reason why you get hurt, but I don't want to hear that publicly, man. That's something that it could be kept in-house. Feels like there's a little bit of an attitude issue. They had the weight stuff where, he's in his rehab gaining weight. So shout out to him for staying healthy, but no thanks. He can test free agency.
Okay, now let me propose this, because I think you're right. I think he's gone. But let me give you the 1% chance of this. Mekhi Becton hits free agency, right? I think they're going to let him hit the open market no matter what happens. He hits the open market. He goes around, and everyone says, yeah, you stayed healthy last year. Every blind squirrel can find a nut, pal. You need to prove it again. 1-year prove-it deal. That's what we'll give you. Everywhere he goes. He goes to Cincinnati, this place. 1-year prove-it deal. That's the best we can do. It's a Pawn Stars. Best I can do is $5. Sorry, pal. Best I can do. Okay. And then he comes back to the Jets and they offer the same thing. He's like, well, I have a good relationship with Aaron Rodgers. If I'm getting a 1-year prove-it deal with anybody, why not just come back to the Jets and compete in the offensive tackle room? Would you be interested in that? Or do you once again say no? Maybe
as a depth signing.
Not a locked-in starter. Hey, because free agency happens before the draft. Hey, you'll compete with whoever the hell this is for insert position.
Yeah, that's fine. But locking him in,
probably
that's the only scenario, which is why you prefaced it by saying 1%.
Big ticket, goodbye.
Big ticket. That's another missed draft pick, man. That 2020 class, yikes, which leads us to another one's coming up from the 2020 class.
That's true, but let me go to someone you forgot to mention. You were mentioning all our wonderful offensive tackles. What about Dwayne Brown? I wish
Yeah.
my mother a happy birthday. I guess I could have wished this guy a happy birthday to my great-grandfather with how old Dwayne Brown is, for Pete's sake. Where's he going? Retirement home? Coming back to the Jets? What's happening here?
Yeah, I think he's retiring. This is a cool story, man. Him trying to make a
Yeah, oh, yeah.
comeback last year, gets hurt, shoulder surgery. This year, gets hurt again. But this dude, I mean, he's the oldest tackle in football. You had
38. Yep.
him on an offensive line that already had question marks. So it was a terrible decision for them to really think that this is going to be your left tackle. He missed all of camp, didn't play a single snap during the preseason, and then he's in there trying to guard that Bills defensive line. So yeah, I think he's gone.
I'm going to be honest. The more you say that, the less I have optimism in the regime. When they went, well, like the offensive line looks terrible in camp. Like you saw the Hard Knocks clip of the Panthers, Robert was ripping into him. And then behind the scenes, they're telling themselves, well, Dwayne Brown will be back in no time. And that was the plan. The media, they're like, are you sure Dwayne Brown can come right back into the starting lineup after missing all of camp at 37 years of age? He turned 38 in August. Is that the plan? Yeah, he'll be fine. He's a pro. Plays the first 2 weeks of the season. Also, that includes Micah Parsons when he baptized his ass, and then he was gone again. And then we're like, oh, okie dokie. But so that the plan for the Jets front office, they looked around and said, yeah, that's pretty good. That should solve everything, I think. It's who's that guy that's like has the slap it seal, like it's a gushing power, and he goes, whoosh, here we go, fixed. That was Dwayne Brown. Offensive line issues, no problem.
Yeah. He'll fix it. I mean, and then Leonard Floyd does what he does, and then like you said, week 2 in Dallas, Micah Parsons was just an animal, an absolute animal. God. So, I mean, think about this exercise.
Yeah,
this offensive line is so bad that 2 guys who were starters last year, who you have the ability to re-sign,
an absolute rejection.
We're immediately saying no. Man, what an offseason they have ahead.
That's for sure. And also, I mentioned this to my father yesterday, but the Nathaniel Hackett comments from last year just got me several times. Coming off the Cowboys game when he said, Micah Parsons' speed and power surprised me a little bit. And I went, what do you mean? What were you watching on film? Boy. That was
his comments about Bryce Huff was like the worst I'd ever heard. I didn't realize how good he was until week 8. What? Are you serious? Like, yo, dude, even if that's true, like, that's
why would you say that?
Say that out loud.
Micah thing. Even if that was true, why would you ever admit that publicly after you put him one-on-one with Dwayne Brown and never gave help? No chipping, no extra tight end, no nothing. He's like, wow, that speed and power really did surprise me there.
The same thing happened. What was that, week 15, right? Or week 16 against Myles Garrett. Same thing happened.
On primetime, no less. Terrible.
Yeah.
Terrible. All right, let's go to, let's see here. All right, I'll just keep going with some of these average salaries. The entire safety room, quite frankly, is blowing up. So I guess that goes to a name that you were talking about from that 2020 draft class. I'll go to the lowest guy first, Ashton Davis, who is here. Now, I'll tell you this. I'll give you guys an insight. He was supposed to join my show, but with all the free agency stuff, they are going to punt on interviews until after that problem, or that situation clears itself out. So I don't blame him or his camp for making that decision. So that's okay. But Ashton Davis, you bringing him back? I've been an Ashton Davis guy forever. I love Ashton Davis.
Yeah, I think he had a nice season, especially toward the end of the season. He performed admirably.
Fumbles. Oh yeah.
What was it? What was the game that both DJ Reed and Sauce were? Was it the Giants game?
For what?
Both DJ and Sauce were out dealing with concussion.
Eagles game, week 6.
The Eagles game. Yeah, it was the Eagles game, and he came in and balled out. So, I'd resign him.
I like him a lot. I don't know who made this comparison. Brian Costello of the New York Post. There was a safety like a decade ago that I loved. His name was Eric Smith, and he was an Ashton Davis, basically. He was a do-it-all special teamer, role player, like third safety all the time. And then eventually just said, this guy could be a starter. And then they plug him in as a starter, and then it was a disaster. So Costello says if you keep him in the role he's in, I think that's how you maximize the juice, the squeeze out of Ashton Davis. So I hope they bring him back. Super talented, super young, raw guy because he came out as a track star at California. So, I'm all aboard bringing him back. And plus the entire safety room. I'll throw these two guys together. Jordan Whitehead, Chuck Clark, who we never got to see, unfortunately. That was the one big injury during the offseason, tears his ACL in practice. So we never got to see him. A lot of people have suggested still bringing him back, maybe on a one-year prove-it deal and bring him in because he was supposed to be the glue in that secondary, and Jordan Whitehead as well. Do you want either of those guys back?
Chuck Clark, I can see. Jordan Whitehead, I'm sure they'll entertain bringing him back on a short contract. He frustrates me a lot because he's good in pass protection.
3 picks.
He obviously 3 picks in week 1 against the Bills. But his tackling, man, leaves a lot to be desired. They just get gashed in the run game, and this dude is just like struggling with how to tackle. You can't win in the NFL like that. So Chuck Clark, he lost the season, so maybe you give him an opportunity. But even me saying that, it's like all these injured guys, like just Bakhtiari's a name people are throwing out. Bring him
I think he's 1,000% coming. I think he's 1,000% coming.
There was someone
else. He's under contract, so the Packers have to cut him. But I
saw you talking about J.K. Dobbins. Like, what's this fascination with all these guys who are hurt? That I want to bring to a team that already deals with a ton of injuries.
I don't know. I'm recovering from a torn ACL, so I don't know if I have a soft spot in my knee apparently now for injury.
Wait, you tore your ACL?
Yeah, back in February in a Taekwondo 4th degree black belt test. So, boop, collapsed like a used lawn chair. Yeah.
You say back in February. This is February. You mean last year?
Yeah, February of last year. Yeah, so I've not returned back to Taekwondo since. So should be coming here in a couple weeks. But yep, 100%.
How do you feel?
So I have a soft spot for injured guys. Pretty good. Although it was funny, me and Aaron Rodgers are doing like the recovery together. Apparently, as I wouldn't know months later. That part was interesting for sure. I've never broken or injured anything in my life.
As soon as you tore your ACL, you should have known what was coming.
Yeah. That was true. That's a good point. The Jets brought me into their facilities. They did that documentary, the Twitter thing, and I came in with crutches. But the initial doctor said, you just sprained it. I'm like, you sure? It feels a little funky. He's like, no, you just sprained it. I'm like, phenomenal. All right. So I drove myself to the Jets facilities for their One Jets Drive documentary, and they said, you got to keep the crutches in. That adds flavor. So some people will notice on the videos when they see Boy Green doing that, I have crutches beneath my arms that they included in there because they thought it added more drama to the show of having my crutch in there. But 1,000%, and I found out like a week or two later when I got a second doctor look at it, and they went, "Jesus, your ACL exploded." I'm like, "Oh God, I don't know, man. The first doctor said it was a sprain." Oh yeah, horrible.
Oh
absolutely
man,
horrible.
So I mean, you brought your bad juju to the Jets facility.
It's my fault.
The season essentially started with you tearing your ACL, and then you brought that negative energy, and it permeated the hallways there.
Yeah,
man. Disgusting. But I'll give Clark another shot. Whitehead, man, let him walk.
Frustrating. Yeah, I remember the Bengals game was like 2 years ago. He tried to hit stick Tyler Boyd instead of just wrapping up a profile. Tyler Boyd bounced off him, says, "Nice try, sucker," and runs to the house for like 50 yards.
Yeah, I remember that. That was it's funny.
A frustrating player.
Going into that game, we thought, hey, beat him last season. Could get him again, and then the Bengals said, "Nah, different
year." yeah, you're right. Joe Flacco did not work the same as Mike White in that one. All right, here's a really big one, and it's one people are debating about even today. Bryce Huff, the pass rushing superstar. What do you do with Bryce Huff?
I think so. I thought the smart move would be to franchise tag him.
I agree
because I consider the season he had, what the expectations were coming in. So he's superseded that, obviously.
Of course.
He's an undrafted free agent. He's already gone on record, like immediately, and said, "Yeah, I ain't taking the hometown discount. That ain't happening." And I'm all for that, man. Like, yo, go get your money, bro. You earned it. Go get every single penny. You earned that. opportunity to hit the open market fresh off of a career season. So go get every penny you can. I want him back badly because this dude is an impact player. Him and Jermaine Johnson on that line opposite each other, that's lethal. So I think the franchise tag, I don't see it getting talked about enough.
No.
But I would franchise him because I just don't think that they're going to be able to retain him based on the asking price. There's going to be another team that blows them out the water.
100%. And I will just tell you this. I share him when I have him. There is a well-placed inside source that has told me I'm testing the open market. And when I say me, it ain't me. If you wink, catch my drift. So he knows what he wants to do. And every team insider, though, to your point, my initial thought this offseason, you tag him. Because no matter what, if you tag him, you control the situation. You tag him, you're preventing him from hitting the open market, number one. You tag him, okay, well, if we're going to trade him, then okay, we can tag and trade. That's happened 5 times over the last couple of years. So tag and trades happen a lot more frequently than people think. But every team insider has told me bluntly, Costello, Samini, Rosenblatt, all of them, there is like no chance that is happening because they don't believe the number. I don't think it's official yet, but it will be coming out in a couple weeks. It's 21 to 23 million on a 1-year deal. And they said the Jets will not create that kind of cap room to hamstring themselves to tag him for that. So I don't know. Maybe they just don't know. Maybe the Jets haven't told them that decision. Maybe that's their opinion, but all of them are so vehemently against it from what I've heard from them that it hurts me. Cause like if he hits the open market, his ass is gone. A 25-year-old pass rusher, and then it's a crazy bidding war. You have like I don't think it's the Patriots, but the Patriots have like 70 million in cap space. The Jets have 10 million. Like it's over.
The Commanders have a ton of cap space. I think Bears, Chicago. Yeah. And those are teams that's about to draft a quarterback. So, you give them some weapons on offense and defense just to help them out. So it's just man. I don't think it's happening.
And what a failure by Joe Douglas. If he has a homegrown superstar that he developed and let's walk out of the door for maybe a comp pick next year, and that's not even guaranteed if you spend a little dough in this free agency, disaster.
Yeah, Joe Douglas might not even be here for that comp pick.
Well, that's a very fair point here. I'll mix in a couple of these guys together so we can wrap up the show here. But there's interior defensive line questions. Quentin Jefferson, he's coming off a career sack year. Solomon Thomas, he's coming off a career sack year. Al Woods, unfortunately, he was lost in the middle of the year. Another torn Achilles. He's going to be turning 37 this offseason, so he might retire. He has considered that in the past, and I think those are all my interior defensive line guys. So any of those guys do you want back, or are we starting fresh with new dudes?
I would like Jefferson and Solomon Thomas back. Al Woods, man, was a baller last year. They lost.
I loved him with the media. He's got that southern accent. He's so blunt. He's hilarious. I love Al.
Dude, he was a baller. They lost, and I'll never forget this because you saw his impact immediately. They lost in the second half of that game against the Giants, and then Saquon just ran wild. Ended up with a $126 on the ground, and they still ended up winning the game because Brian Dable lost his mind at the end. But you saw the impact. He was their best graded player against the run. So and then you saw their run defense last year completely changed after he went down. But yeah, you're right, man. The torn Achilles, age, that's just not a recipe for you coming back and being formidable. But Jefferson and Solomon Thomas, I like those kids. I know Quentin went out in that Miami game, but I would like to see them both come back.
How important? Quentin. Yeah. How important are pass catchers to Aaron Rodgers, do you believe, in 2024? Would you say it's pretty important?
Oh, very important.
Oh, so Randall Cobb back?
Yeah, no. That was a lead. He wasn't a pass catcher. He's a leadership guy, and I'm good on wasting money on leaders. Randall Cobb to retire, bro. Randall Cobb wanted to retire after the Packers lost against the Lions, and Rodgers
and he was convinced out of it. Yeah.
That's not really, that doesn't. When does that ever work out? Like, I thought about retiring, and then I came back.
Not for the Jets. Remember, Joe Douglas convinced Ryan Khalil. That was his first big move.
To come out of retirement.
He said, come out of retirement because he had retired that offseason. And Joe Douglas was like, come on home last season. He's like, okie dokie. And then he was terrible. So, you're right. That's not been a great recipe for the New York Jets. This is a leadership guy and a former Pro Bowl player. What about Justin Hardy, the special teams? I'll link the other two in a second, but Justin Hardy, you want him back?
I'd be fine with Justin Hardy coming back. And you mentioned the other two, Greg the Leg, man, he's got to come back. It was Greg the Leg and Thomas Morstead are, you could make the case, were two of the Jets, like 7 best players last year?
MVPs.
Or let's call it 10 best
Yeah.
players. Because, they had Pro Bowlers and all pro guys. But throw those guys into the mix of, like, 2 of the top 10 players from the team last year, which is kind of sad. I want those guys back.
Right, yeah. I want Morstead and him back. And I met Justin Hardy's father, actually, in Dallas when I was there to watch the Jets-Cowboys game. My father came out, and, like, this whole group was wearing Hardy jerseys. And I'm like, well, that's just possible. They're big fans. But I went up to his father and said, you did good work, sir. And, like, I think he was kind of thrown off. He was like, thanks, pal. And I just gave him, like, I don't think he totally understood at all what happened, but anywho, I tried to do what I could for Justin Hardy's father there. And let me just see if there's anybody else of real note. No one really outside. Oh, yeah, Billy Turner. Back?
No.
I see. And then finally, one guy I do want back. We'll actually be doing an episode on the centers. Connor McGovern. I'd love him back as some interior offensive line depth. Why not? I'd bring back McGovern behind Tippmann.
Yeah, I was just going to say, Tippmann has graduated to that starter job. I think he performed well last year. Clearly, he has some things he has to correct. It wasn't great, but you see some promise there. But McGovern, as a depth option, I'd be into bringing him back too.
All right, some random questions. My father, Paul Esden Sr., asked what to do with Alan Lazard. He is not a free agent, obviously. He signed that massive 4-year deal for $44 million. But some people have said just eat the loss and move on because
it's not going to happen.
He's playing too much with soccer balls and not given enough love.
Not going to happen. They're going to convince themselves that Rodgers comes back. That's his guy. He's going to be much more productive. And, I mean, I didn't love the fact that he was struggling and being critical of coaches, even though the criticism might have been warranted. Been warranted. But a couple of healthy scratches this year. He's got to rebound. And, look, I don't trust that he will. I just don't think that you're going to eat that contract. It's really only a 2-year deal.
Correct. 2-year, $22 million is basically what it is. Yeah, right.
They can get out after this season. But I think they run it back, see what Rodgers can help bring out of them, and they'll make some additions to the offense where Lazard's not your number 2, but he'll be back.
Another comment on YouTube. Johnny, what do we do with that stinky Zach Wilson, as he says?
He's gone, man.
Trade? Or you got to cut his ass?
They'll try to trade him. What are they going to get for him?
A 7th?
But
maybe.
And they got 8 picks this year?
Right now they have 5. The comp picks come out in about a month, and they're projected to get 3, so they should have 8 to your point.
Yeah, so it's going to be around 8. You get what you can get for him. He's talented, man. He's really talented.
For sure.
He's really talented.
Did you see him throwing those balls at that Jazz game? it was like back at his pro day. Yeah.
It's the stuff in his head. You watch like Brock Purdy, and Zach Wilson's he's more talented than Brock Purdy.
Definitely.
So it leads you to believe that in the right situation, this guy could have been successful. That arm, the sneaky athleticism, it's just all here. And, once year 1 came and he flopped, and year 2 came and he flopped, it was never going to happen here.
Yeah.
But they'll trade him.
Real tough. So they're going to blow up the quarterback room. If Zach Wilson traded, the Jets do not have any other quarterback under contract not named Aaron Rodgers. So they will have
Minshew
to
and Brissett. Minshew, Brissett, those are 2 names to watch out for.
Hey, I sent out the picture on Twitter, Sauce and Gardner talking at the Pro Bowl. I'm like, little recruiting action? QB2? Perhaps? All right.
He's like, I want to intercept passes when you're in practice, bro.
Yeah, that's right. That's good commentary. All right, Ty, ESPN New York radio host, ESPN 98.7. What do you got cooking? What's your schedule here? Coming up, we got the Super Bowl next week.
Yeah, it's great, man. So I was on the air yesterday from 3 to 6. Then I went to the Knicks-Lakers game. That was fun at the Garden. LeBron doing his thing at age 39, which is insane. Back today, me and Brandon Jacobs, 11 to 2 p.m. Eastern, 98.7 ESPN. Anywhere you find the ESPN app, tell Alexa, get it popping, man. We're going to have some fun today. Me and BJ a week before the Super Bowl, and then, of course, we'll be back on Super Bowl Sunday. So I'm looking forward to it, man. Looking forward to it.
All right, should be a lot of fun. So thanks to you, thanks to your amazing son beside you. I appreciated his commentary as well.
Him, right?
Probably better than anything I was saying, to be honest. Yes.
You hear him, right? You want to come say hello?
Yeah.
Come on. Say hello to the Jets fans?
Yeah,
want to come?
on.
All right, come. He wants to say hi to the Jets fans.
Okay, all right. Let's see.
Say go Jets. Say go Jets.
Huh?
Say go Jets. Yeah, it's so funny. So I was watching a Laker game, right? And I was amped. And he randomly comes out the room and he's like, "Go Jets."
I love that. How old is he now?
He's 2. He's gonna be 3 in June. But he's getting all shy on the camera. But yeah, he loves football.
Congratulations.
Man. Loves football.
That's amazing. That's good. You're raising him right then, as a Jets fan.
Nah, I'm not. It's malpractice actually. It's
that's probably true.
The ACS crew is coming. Raising the kids to be Jet fans. Not good.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, actually, I think there's a CBS fan outside my house right now. That's
your dad's a Cowboys fan, right?
He is, and my mother's a Patriots fan. Yeah, it's all over the place.
So what the hell happened to you?
Yeah, that's a good question, right? You're like Mama Cat and Dada Cat loved each other very much, and Jets fan. What the? Yeah, it's one of the mysteries that still plagues mankind, but we're on the case. On the case, Ty, you're one of the best in the friggin' business, baby. We will be tuning into you for some Brandon Jacobs action later today, and a wonderful Super Bowl week, brother. Keep killing it. Keep holding it down, brother.
Thanks, bro. You as well, man. Shout out to you and the family. Once again, happy birthday to your mom. Hopefully, it's a blessed day for everybody.
Appreciate that. God bless everybody. We'll see you tomorrow. Take care. Peace.